I'm sitting in a small hotel room, in Berlin.
I understand.
So maybe the lighting is not the best, but I'm doing what I can.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We are seeing you.
Great
The voice is crucial.
It's a great pleasure to be part in such a large, diverse, interesting event. Congratulations to you, Mr. Iancu, and to the organizers for putting together this event. I didn't know it was planned to be in somewhere at the seaside. Of course, it would have been more pleasant, but we have to make do. And also allows us to combine different responsibilities, because you mentioned ACER. I recently joined the board, so of course I cannot speak for ACER. So whatever I say, it's in my personal capacity. I hope I'm not embarrassing them, but it's my view. It's not necessarily the agency's view. I'll try in few minutes to reinforce some of the things that have been said about the challenges ahead at the European level, and then to finish by some remarks about how I see this is reflected in Romania. I think at European level we try to mix two processes. We've been trying to mix them for a while now. It's reinforced dynamic between, on one hand, creating a European energy market. In my mind, market means efficiency. So the purpose is, how do I have the cheapest energy possible for consumers? On the other hand, we want a larger share of renewables, which is not necessarily the cheapest energy. So we have to marry these two processes in the same time, to, as I said, to try to create the energy market, which means, of course, physical infrastructure for exchange of energy, but also means a lot of instruments to facilitate the functioning of the market. On the other hand, renewables will need, at least for a while, targeted subsidies. So you need also state support under different forms. These two policies have to be integrated, and again, at least for a while, Europe seems to be in the head front in the transition to renewable energy. If the other large economies do not share, if not the ambition, at least the speed of Europe in this direction, this raises the issue that energy in Europe will be more expensive, and this might affect the competitiveness of Europe. And we have to find ways to counterbalance this, again, either by subsidies, but what is now under consideration, to introduce some form of protection of the European market, of the European players, versus competition from countries having dirtier by cheaper energy. So all these things require a combination of traditional energy policy with state aid, which normally has been the preserve of the competition policy in Europe, and possibly trade policy. That is now what is under consideration. So there's a challenge, I say, to how to make these things work together. Where ACER fits in my view, it has a key role in improving the functioning of the energy market, especially through the remit mechanism. So I see our first challenge is to make remit work, to make it work for the national authorities, to allow them to help them to police the energy market. And we have to allocate enough resources in ACER to have the resources and to allocate them to make remit work. And in general, we have to facilitate the cooperation between the regulatory agencies to share good examples in this new area which is being opened up, which requires new effort, new skills from the regulatory agencies too. Moving a bit to Romania, all these things are not completely new, and we have to. Some of the things we've done, maybe we don't talk enough about things that we achieved in Romania over all these years, but definitely we have to learn from the past experiences. Minister Popescu was talking about restructuring. actually we don't realize how much restructuring happened already in the coal area. If we look at the output coming from Hunedoara, that used to come from Hunedoara, and how much Hunedoara now contributes to the national production of electricity, we see a huge restructuring here. But of course, now things are moving to Oltenia, so that's one of the biggest challenges for the current government. I think is how to steer the process of restructuring at Oltenia, and reducing capacity from coal. It's not easy, but it's only half of the problem. It's what you put in place. And here, listening to some of the discussion in Brussels, I think when people come from countries which do not have a large coal industry, they might be something too optimistic about how easy it is to do this just transition, just to switch from doing something else. In Romania, we've been trying for 30 years, under different names. We used to call it EU funds for transition. It's not something new in Romania. We called it FARE, we called it regional development, we called it I don't know what. I would say the progress has been pretty limited so far. Gas was mentioned a lot. Gas is important for us because it's a resource we have, and we have to find a smart way to use it. We call it a transition fuel. That's again, I think, one of the key things that we have to do. How to use it quickly enough so it's relevant, but also in a fair way that shares the benefits to all the stakeholders. Renewables, it's one of the unsung successes, I would say, in Romania. We showed that we could develop pretty quickly a new industry. Now I would say the challenge is to make it as efficient as possible. So that the target, the support, probably there's going to be some support for renewables needed. Yeah, they are not completely viable economically, but they should be minimized. So we want markets, we want efficiency, we want technology neutral subsidies. Yeah, so whatever we can do to make it work, but at the least cost possible. And the final point, coming largely because I come from outside the energy field. Yeah, I deal with a lot of through competition work. I deal with a lot of sectors. We have pretty fine companies in the energy sector. They are large, they are big, they are steady. They have to learn to be agile, because all these changes which are unavoidable will make their life more complicated. So all these pretty large companies, they have to learn some agility, and government in a larger sense, we have to support this agility. First of all, through predictable governance, which has not been our strongest point normally, but also a sort of cooperative regulatory framework, where we could adapt the regulations quickly enough to changing market structure. So this would be my plea, to try together to have predictability, but also develop in a cooperative framework. Thanks a lot.